First contact. The Artaxian Federation's survey vessel emerged from quantum space at the edge of Sol system, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in prismatic patterns. Captain Venexa stood at the command center, her iridescent scales shifting from deep blue to purple as she studied the preliminary scans. What she saw both intrigued and confused her. "Curious," she muttered, mandibles clicking softly. "Their outer defense grid appears to be primarily kinetic-based. Projectile weapons, basic shield technology, rudimentary FTL capability." She turned to her science officer, Krell. "Are you certain these readings are accurate?" Krell's neural tendrils pulsed with affirmative patterns. "Confirmed, Captain. The humans appear to be a Level 3 civilization at best. Their most advanced installations utilize nuclear fission and early fusion technology. Nothing that would pose a challenge to even our smallest battle group." But something didn't sit right with Venexa. In her 3 centuries of service to the Federation, she'd never encountered a species that had achieved faster-than-light travel while still relying on such primitive defensive systems. The disparity nagged at her tactical instincts. "What of their communication networks?" she asked, bringing up a holographic display of Earth's orbital infrastructure. "Fascinating, actually," Krell responded, manipulating the display to highlight thousands of satellites. "They still use electromagnetic radiation for most transmissions, highly inefficient, though the sheer volume of data they exchange is remarkable." The bridge crew continued their analysis, meticulously documenting every aspect of human civilization they could observe from their vantage point. None noticed the subtle quantum fluctuations their own scans were generating, or the way those fluctuations were being absorbed and analyzed by seemingly inactive debris fields scattered throughout the system. Deep within Cheyenne Mountain, Earth Defense Force Commander Sarah Chen watched the alien vessel's scans bounce harmlessly off their quantum camouflage grid. The entire solar system was wrapped in layers of technology so advanced it appeared primitive to conventional scanning methods. It had taken humanity decades to perfect this deception, but it was worth every resource invested. "They're taking the bait," she said to her assembled staff. The command center hummed with quiet efficiency as operators monitored every aspect of the alien vessel's activities. "Maintain passive observation only. Let them think they're being clever." The humans had known about the Artaxian Federation for years, carefully gathering intelligence through quantum ghost probes that could observe without being detected. They knew the Federation's history of uplifting less advanced species, a euphemism for technological subjugation and cultural assimilation. Earth had no intention of becoming another vassal state. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Rodriguez called out, "they're launching probe drones. Looks like they're planning a more detailed survey." Chen nodded, allowing herself a small smile. "Perfect. Let them get a good long look at our primitive defenses. Maintain Protocol Omega. Not a single quantum signature above Level 3 is to leak through the camouflage grid." Back on the Artaxian vessel, Captain Venexa finally made her decision. "Prepare a first contact package," she ordered. "Standard Protocol 7 for emerging civilizations. We'll help these humans take their first steps into the greater galactic community." Her voice carried the patronizing tone common among Federation officials when dealing with lesser species. As her crew began composing the carefully crafted message of peaceful intentions and offers of technological assistance, Earth's quantum arrays were already decoding the encrypted transmissions between the survey vessel and the Federation fleet waiting at the edge of human space. The Artaxians' peaceful first contact would be followed by a show of overwhelming force, standard procedure for ensuring compliance from new client species. Commander Chen's quantum tablet chimed softly. The message from Earth's Security Council was brief. "Operation Trojan Horse is approved. Proceed as planned." She opened a secure channel to all Earth Defense Force installations throughout the solar system. "All units maintain current protocols. Let them think they found exactly what they expected. Another primitive species ready for uplifting. The Federation is about to learn a very important lesson about making assumptions." The trap was set. Humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to appear weak when it was strong, to be underestimated by those who thought themselves superior. As the alien vessel continued its survey, Earth's quantum fleet remained perfectly hidden, its true capabilities masked by the most sophisticated deception grid ever created. The first act of this cosmic drama was about to begin, and the Artaxian Federation had no idea they were actually the audience, not the performers. The deception. Admiral Kethrix of the Artaxian Federation's 7th Integration Fleet stood before the massive holographic display, his scaled fingers tracing the planned approach vectors to Earth. Behind him, 24 capital ships hung in formation, their crystalline hulls gleaming with barely contained power. The Federation's standard peace-through-strength approach had worked on countless civilizations before. Earth would be no different. "The humans have accepted our initial contact package," his communications officer reported. "They seem eager for technological exchange." Too eager, perhaps. The Admiral's membrane-shielded eyes narrowed slightly. Something about the humans' response patterns didn't quite match their apparent technological level. Their diplomatic language was too precise, their questions too carefully crafted. "Show me their orbital defense grid again," he commanded. The hologram shifted, displaying Earth's supposedly primitive satellite network. Kinetic weapon platforms, early warning systems, and basic shield generators created a protective web around the planet. By Federation standards, it was laughably obsolete. "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted, "we're detecting some unusual energy fluctuations from their lunar installations. The patterns don't match their documented technology level." "Elaborate," Kethrix demanded. "It's difficult to pinpoint. The readings appear and vanish almost instantly. Could be measurement errors, or perhaps failed experiments with unstable power sources." On Earth, Commander Chen monitored the Federation fleet's every move through quantum entanglement sensors that were impossible to detect. Her teams had carefully engineered those unusual fluctuations to test the aliens' response patterns. The Federation's growing suspicion was exactly what they'd anticipated. "They're starting to notice the inconsistencies," she observed. "Time to move to Phase 2. Activate the compromised defense platforms." Across Earth's orbital grid, carefully selected defensive installations began to malfunction in seemingly random patterns. To the Federation's observers, it would appear as though humanity's primitive technology was struggling to maintain basic functionality. Admiral Kethrix watched with growing confidence as Earth's defense grid showed signs of strain. "Just as expected," he announced to his command staff. "Their systems can't even maintain stable operation. Prepare the integration task force. We'll demonstrate our superiority and offer our help in one swift operation." Little did he know that each malfunction was precisely calculated to draw his fleet into optimal positions for what would follow. The humans had spent years studying Federation tactical doctrine, understanding their psychological weaknesses, particularly their tendency to underestimate species they considered technologically inferior. In a secret facility beneath Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, Dr. Maya Patil monitored the quantum probability matrices that predicted the Federation fleet's likely responses. "They're following the exact pattern we projected," she reported to Commander Chen. "Their cultural superiority complex makes them predictable." Chen nodded, watching as the Federation ships began moving into their standard, peaceful demonstration formation, a display of force meant to shock and awe primitive species into compliance. "Begin final preparations. All quantum systems on standby. Let them think they're still in control." The Federation fleet's deployment was textbook perfect, exactly as their military doctrine prescribed. Ships arranged in a precise geometric pattern designed to maximize both defensive coverage and the psychological impact of their appearance. Admiral Kethrix allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Soon, Earth would understand its place in the galactic hierarchy. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, confusion evident in his voice, "I'm detecting some sort of quantum resonance from the humans' lunar bases, but It doesn't make sense. The pattern suggests technology far beyond their capability. Impossible. Kethrix dismissed. Their energy systems are barely beyond nuclear fission. They can't possibly. His words were cut short as new data flooded his displays. Throughout the solar system, quantum signals began emerging from what had appeared to be space debris and defunct satellites. The Federation's sophisticated sensors struggled to process what they were detecting. In her command center, Commander Chen allowed herself a tight smile. They're finally seeing past the veil. Signal the quantum fleet. Prepare to show our visitors exactly what humanity is capable of. The deception was about to end, but its purpose had been served. The Federation fleet had positioned itself exactly where Earth's defense forces wanted them, their formations optimized for facing a primitive opponent, not the technological giant humanity had become. Admiral Kethrix stared at the rapidly changing sensor data, his certainty crumbling as he began to realize the true nature of the trap his fleet had walked into. The humans weren't primitive at all. They were simply masters of deception, and the Federation had fallen for it completely. Hidden strength. The transformation began silently. Across the solar system, what appeared to be debris and defunct satellites shimmered and changed. Quantum camouflage fields dissolved, revealing sleek vessels of impossible design. They seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once, their hulls flowing like liquid metal while maintaining perfect structural integrity. Admiral Kethrix's sensor officer had stopped trying to report the impossible readings flooding his screens. The sheer number of quantum signatures emerging from hiding sent their most advanced detection systems into cascading failures. What they'd dismissed as a primitive civilization had concealed a fleet that dwarfed their own. Full defensive formation, Kethrix bellowed, but even as he gave the order, he knew it was too late. His fleet had been arranged to intimidate a technological inferior, not engage an advanced opponent. They were out of position, their shields optimized for the wrong type of warfare. Commander Chen's voice echoed through every Federation ship's communication system, speaking perfect Artaxian. Perhaps now would be a good time to discuss the true terms of our species' relationship. The Federation crews stood frozen as holographic projections appeared on their bridges, showing humans in sleek uniforms that seemed to bend light around them. The psychological impact was devastating. Everything they'd believed about human technological capability had been a carefully crafted lie. Impossible, Kethrix whispered. Your species. We observed your development. Your primitive satellites, your nuclear weapons. You observed exactly what we wanted you to observe, Chen replied. While your Federation was busy uplifting other species, humanity took a different path. We learned to hide our true capabilities, to advance in secret, knowing that someday we would encounter others who might not have our best interests at heart. As if to emphasize her words, Earth's quantum fleet began moving with impossible precision. Ships phased through space in ways that defied conventional physics, their movements suggesting mastery over dimensions the Federation had only theorized about. Dr. Patel's voice came through Chen's quantum link. Their shields are still configured for basic energy weapons. Should I demonstrate our capabilities? Proceed, Chen ordered. Let's show them exactly what they're dealing with. A single human vessel, smaller than the Federation's smallest escort ship, detached from the fleet. Its hull rippled with patterns that hurt to look at, quantum fields manipulating reality itself. Without warning, it fired a single shot, not a weapon blast, but a focused stream of altered spacitime. The beam passed straight through the Federation flagship shields, as if they didn't exist. It struck the hull and simply erased a perfect sphere of material, the atoms themselves apparently ceasing to exist. The damage was precise, surgical, and terrifying in its implications. That, Chen explained calmly, was a low-power demonstration. Your shields are designed to stop energy and matter. Ours manipulate the fundamental forces of reality itself. Admiral Kethrix's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme stress in his species. Why? He managed to ask. Why maintain this deception? Why not simply demonstrate your superiority from the start? The hologram of Chen smiled, but there was steel in her expression. Because we needed to understand your true intentions. Your Federation's history of peaceful integration is well documented. We needed to know if you would approach us as equals or attempt to subjugate us like so many others. Around the Federation fleet, more human ships decloaked. Each one represented a technological advancement that shouldn't have been possible for centuries according to Federation understanding. Quantum drives that didn't just breach space but rewrote it. Weapons that could target specific fundamental forces while leaving others untouched. Your entire understanding of technological progression is flawed, Chen continued. You believe advancement must follow a specific path, that certain discoveries must precede others. Humanity proved otherwise. We jumped tracks, explored possibilities your scientists dismissed, and most importantly, we learned to hide our achievements until they were needed. The Federation fleet hung motionless. Their tactical advantage evaporated, their technological superiority revealed as an illusion. They had come to uplift a primitive species, only to find themselves face to face with a civilization that had surpassed them in ways they hadn't imagined possible. And somewhere in the depths of space, other Federation fleets approached other seemingly primitive worlds, completely unaware that the game had just changed forever. The tables turn. The next few moments would be remembered in Federation archives as the quantum revelation. Admiral Kethrix watched in stunned silence as humanity's true fleet began what could only be described as a technology demonstration, though demonstration felt like an inadequate word for what followed. A human vessel no larger than a Federation scout ship split into 3 identical copies, each one fully real and functional. Another seemed to age 1,000 years, and back in the span of seconds, its hull shifting through evolutionary designs that should have taken centuries to develop. A third simply disappeared, not through any cloaking technology, but by apparently ceasing to exist in their dimension entirely. Your Federation believes in technological superiority through overwhelming force. Commander Chen's voice carried across all channels. We believe in superiority through understanding. While you were perfecting bigger weapons, we were learning to manipulate the fabric of reality itself. As if to punctuate her words, a massive Federation cruiser suddenly found itself turned inside out, not destroyed, but literally inverted, its internal structures now forming an external shell while its hull plates lined its corridors. The crew was unharmed but thoroughly disoriented. Impossible, Kethrix's science officer exclaimed. The energy requirements alone would be astronomical using your technology, Chen interrupted. But we don't use your technology. We never did. While you were building better fusion reactors, we discovered how to harvest zero-point energy from quantum fluctuations. While you were developing faster ships, we learned to fold space itself. The human fleet moved in patterns that defied conventional tactics. Ships appeared to move backward through time, arriving at their destinations before they began their journey. Others split into quantum superpositions, existing in multiple states simultaneously, making them impossible to target effectively. Dr. Patel's voice came through Chen's private quantum link. They're attempting to adapt their shields to quantum frequencies. Should we demonstrate the futility of that effort? Chen's response was immediate. Proceed with Protocol Omega-7. What followed was a display of technological mastery that would haunt Federation tactical officers' nightmares for generations. Human ships began manipulating probability itself. Federation weapons failed not because they were blocked or absorbed, but because the quantum probability of their successful operation dropped to 0. You see, Chen explained to the increasingly desperate Federation fleet, we discovered something your scientists never considered. Technology doesn't have to follow a linear path of development. You can take quantum leaps, skip entire stages of advancement, if you're willing to think differently enough. Admiral Kethrix watched as his fleet's most advanced weapons proved useless against even the smallest human vessels. Their shots didn't miss. They simply ceased to have ever been fired in the first place. Reality itself seemed to be taking sides in this confrontation. Your dedication to tradition became your weakness, Chen continued. You were so certain of how technological advancement should progress that you never looked for alternatives. Humanity had no such preconceptions. We explored every possibility, no matter how impossible it seemed. The Federation fleet's formation had completely broken down. Ships clustered together defensively, their crews struggling to comprehend how thoroughly they had underestimated their opponent. Everything they knew about warfare, about physics itself, was being systematically disproven before their eyes. A human vessel approached Kethrix's flagship, its hull rippling with patterns that suggested it existed in at least 6 dimensions simultaneously. We could have revealed ourselves immediately, Chen said. We could have dominated your fleet the moment you arrived. But we chose this approach for a reason. The message was clear. Humanity hadn't just achieved technological superiority. They had fundamentally changed the rules of what was possible. The Federation's carefully structured understanding of technological progression lay in ruins, along with their assumptions about their place in the galaxy. And as the human fleet continued its display of impossible capabilities, a new reality began to dawn on the Federation forces. They hadn't found a primitive species to uplift. They had awakened a sleeping giant who had been watching, waiting, and advancing far beyond anything they had imagined possible. A new order. In the days following what became known as the Sol Revelation, the galaxy's political landscape underwent a seismic shift. The Artaxian Federation's council chambers, once filled with confident declarations of superiority, now echoed with heated debates and worried whispers. The humans hadn't just demonstrated advanced technology. They had shattered the very foundations of how spacefaring civilizations thought about technological progress. Admiral Kethrix stood before the Federation High Council, his scales dulled with stress as he delivered his report. They were never primitive, he explained to the assembled leaders. Everything we observed was an elaborate deception. Their quantum technology, it doesn't just surpass ours. It operates on principles we hadn't even theorized. The council chamber's holographic displays showed footage from the encounter. Human ships phasing through dimensions, weapons that rewrote probability, defenses that didn't just stop attacks but prevented them from ever having been launched. Each demonstration represented a fundamental shift in understanding of what was possible. Meanwhile, on Earth, Commander Chen led a different kind of meeting. Representatives from dozens of species that had been uplifted by the Federation gathered in a quantum-linked conference that transcended physical space. Some existed as holograms, others through neural interfaces, all brought together by human technology that made distance irrelevant. Your civilizations were forced to advance along the Federation's approved paths. Chen addressed the assembled delegates, but those paths were unnecessarily limiting. We're offering something different, not uplift, but partnership. The chance to explore possibilities the Federation never considered. The impact of humanity's revelation rippled through galactic society. Federation scientists pored over the scraps of data they'd gathered, trying to understand how humans had made such tremendous leaps, but they kept running into the same wall, their own preconceptions about how technology should progress. Dr. Patel, speaking to a mixed group of human and alien researchers, explained it simply. You've been climbing a ladder, assuming each rung must be reached in sequence. We decided to build an elevator instead. Different approach, same destination, but much faster and with a completely different view along the way. The Federation's response to this new reality proved telling. Some members pushed for immediate military action, fearing human technology would spread to their client species. Others advocated for isolation, wanting to cut off all contact with Earth and its impossible capabilities. But a growing faction saw an opportunity for genuine change. Your Federation stands at a crossroads, Chen told the emergency session of the High Council, her quantum projection appearing simultaneously in every Federation capital. You can cling to your hierarchical view of civilization, or you can embrace a new model, one where advancement isn't limited by dogma or tradition. The humans' offer was both simple and revolutionary. They would share their understanding of quantum science, not as masters uplifting primitives, but as equals sharing knowledge. The only condition was that recipient civilizations must be allowed to develop freely, without the Federation's traditional restrictions. We hid our capabilities because we needed to understand your intentions, Chen explained. Now we understand them perfectly. The question is, do you understand yourselves well enough to change? Across the galaxy, Federation client species began demanding autonomy, inspired by Earth's example. The carefully maintained hierarchy of technological levels began to crumble as humans demonstrated that advancement didn't have to follow the Federation's prescribed path. Admiral Ketherix, watching his civilization's certainties dissolve, finally understood the true lesson of their encounter with Earth. We thought we were the teachers, he told his fellow admirals, but we were the ones who needed to learn. The humans didn't just surpass us technologically. They proved our entire approach to civilization was fundamentally flawed. 1 year after the Sol revelation, the galaxy had changed irrevocably. The Federation transformed from a hierarchical empire into a cooperative alliance, with Earth playing a key role not as conquerors, but as innovators. Human quantum technology spread, but not through force or uplift, through willing collaboration and shared discovery. And in orbit around distant worlds, Federation survey ships still searched for new civilizations, but now they carried a different message, not of uplift and integration, but of invitation and possibility. The age of imposed technological progression was over. A new era of unlimited potential had begun. The greatest victory of humanity wasn't in demonstrating their superior technology. It was in showing the galaxy that there was always another way forward, if only you were willing to imagine it.